I collapsed in the hallway of my house after school, and my mom stepped over me without slowing down. She turned at the doorway and crossed her arms. "Stop faking it before I pull you up myself." I pulled myself up against the wall. Maya slipped out of her room with the bear, where we hid the Tylenol from my mom, pulled a pill from the stitching, and pressed it into my hand. Mom walked back down the hallway and pried it off my tongue. "You're embarrassing this family." Maya froze on the stairs. 14 more days. Then I could see a doctor without her. The morning I turned 18, I called the clinic before school and booked the first opening they had. I wrote the time on a card and gave it to Maya on my way out. "Put this in the bear." She nodded and tucked it through the stitching without looking down. I sat in the waiting room gripping the armrests to keep myself from walking out. The doctor sat down across from me and read my intake form. "When did the symptoms start?" 6. 12 years without treatment? My mom said I was faking. He looked at me for a long second. "I can see your hands twitching from here. You're not faking. We're running bloods right now." The doctor pressed on my knee and I screamed so loud the receptionist ran in. He came back with the results. "There's something you need to see." Before he could finish, the door slammed open. "Where is she? Where is my faking little—" The doctor stepped between us. "Ma'am, sit down. She's wasting your time. I'm her mother. If she was really sick, I'd know." The doctor lifted the paper in his hand. "Your daughter has an autoimmune disease that attacks her joints. If she'd been treated at 6, she'd be living a normal life. The damage is permanent." My mother's eyes dropped to the paper. She was always dramatic. Every single week it was something new. The doctor didn't move. "She screamed in that room 2 minutes ago. That wasn't something new." I stood up. "You knew." "Of course I didn't. You pried a pill off my tongue." She took a step back. "You stepped over me in the hallway." Her hand went to the wall behind her. The doctor picked up his desk phone. "You've got a younger one at home. She's not staying in that house. I'm calling Child Protective Services." My mother grabbed her purse and ran, knocking over a chair on her way out. I drove straight from the clinic to Maya's school and crouched in front of her on the sidewalk. "You don't have to hide the bear anymore."
Dad measured me for the 5th time that day and screamed, "Why are you still 5'10"? I stared down at my 5'3" dad, and he glared, "Stop looking down at me. No son of mine will ever look down on me. We're going to fix this before it's too late." And so the next day, Dad came into my room with x-rays of my legs marked with red X's saying, "I found a surgeon who will remove these bones so that you can finally be shorter than me. I already scheduled the surgery." I stared in horror while Dad jumped around saying he couldn't wait to be taller than me. I knew I had to make the surgery impossible, so I started running 26 miles non-stop, and even though it hurt, I kept going until my legs gave out because I needed my bones to be so damaged they couldn't operate on me. And then on the day of my scheduled surgery, the doctor took one look at x-rays of my damaged legs and refused to operate on me. Dad got angry. "Why? He's perfectly fine." But the surgeon shook his head and pointed at the x-ray. "His bones are too damaged. If I cut into them, they could shatter, and a shard of bone could hit his heart. Your son could die." Dad crossed his arms. "I'm okay taking that risk. Just do it so he can be shorter than me." But the doctor kept saying no, and I thought it was finally over. But when we got home, Dad grabbed his toolbox and said, "If a surgeon isn't going to fix this, then I'll do it myself." He chased me around the house screaming, "Get back here! You will be shorter than me!" I ran outside across the yard, and that's when Dad's foot got caught on the garden hose, and he fell down hard, and I saw both his legs were bent the wrong way. Dad screamed, and I called the ambulance, and when they arrived, paramedics loaded him onto a stretcher while one of them questioned me. "How do you know this man?" he asked. When I said he was my dad, his eyes bulged, and he looked back and forth between my dad and me, and then suddenly asked, "How is he your dad? He's so short." Dad thrashed so hard in the stretcher when he heard a paramedic had to sedate him.